Welcome to this new video. I'm the PC Collector, and on today's review I'm bringing you a machine that you might know because this kind of machine was very popular in the mid to late 2000s. It's the Acer Aspire One. You know, this machine is a netbook, a kind of machine which were very popular at that time. With the rise of wireless internet connections and lots of places offering connection everywhere, these kind of machines became very popular because they were small, light, portable. You could pack them pretty much anywhere and you could use them to go to the internet anywhere. There were a lot of machines of this kind, of which the most popular were this one, the Acer Aspire One, and the Asus EPC. I don't know who decided that putting like 3 E's in a row was a good idea, but that's a topic for a different day because that's not the computer we're talking about today. But yeah, those were the most popular machines, and well, although these machines were short-lived because tablets made them disappear like almost overnight, there's still people who likes them. I personally didn't like them. I bought one of them new, an Asus One new back in the day, and I regretted it almost instantly. I pretty much consider it the worst purchase I've ever made. But well, these machines all share the same pattern. Small size, low power consumption internals like the Intel Atom CPUs, integrated graphics, all the yada, the typical thing you encounter on on budget machines. But to be absolutely fair, for a machine this size they were quite well supplied with ports, with Ethernet port, VGA port, 3 USB ports, a card reader which was fairly popular at that time. Is not bad for a computer this size, to be absolutely honest. In the terms of upgradability, there's not much you could do. You could swap the hard drive and you can access the memory here. It takes up to 2 GB of DDR2 memory. And this is the card for the auxiliary card in case you need to replace the wireless card, because yeah, of course, all these, a key feature of all these machines were the wireless card. You wouldn't find one of them without a wireless card. Other than that, the usual 10-inch screen, a keyboard, and well, a small touchpad here. Nothing unusual, nothing rare. These little machines all follow the same pattern, with the Intel Atom N270 or N280 running at 1.6 or 1.66 GHz, and with a hyper-threading technology, which means that they have 2 logical cores. The Intel GMA 905 and 50, the usual and common on that era Realtek AC97 card, the 10.1-inch screen, the touchpad, a Wi-Fi card, the card reader, of course, the VGA port so you could connect it to a bigger screen if you needed, 120 GB hard drive, one DDR2 RAM slot admitting up to 2 GB, and Windows XP. You know, pretty much the standard deal for a machine in that era. This machine has the bright mirror-like screen, which I personally don't like. That was pretty much the main reason why I went for the Asus machine instead of this one when I bought mine back in the day. And well, this machine had the option for a double size battery. I of course have replaced the drive with an SSD because it uses a SATA port, and of course I have tweaked the Windows XP so it looks as little as possible like Windows XP because, well, by this point it shouldn't be a secret that I don't like Windows XP. But one of the few things I like about Windows XP is that you can actually tweak the interface somehow, unlike other machines, well, unlike other Windows versions. Yeah, yada yada. There's wireless. This machine, as you can see, is the one with the N270 and it has 1 GB of RAM. The GMA 950, which is taking that much RAM, I'm not sure why. No, that's not what I wanted to open. I'm not really sure how the shared memory works in this machine, but yeah, you can see. I'm going to run some tests using the usual apps I have at hand. Yeah, I use Windows XP Service Pack 2 because I had very poor experiences with Service Pack 3, so I tend to avoid it. Oh, it's an ICH 7M. I thought it was an AC97. Yeah, the hardware brochure I had didn't offer any information about the exact audio controller this thing had. So let's see how this compares to other machines of the time. So we have the Pentium Extreme Edition, Core 2, Athlon 64. Has very good memory. Has very good memory readings because it's the DDR2, and most of the machines this Everest has in the comparisons are use the DDR1. Still being a single channel hurts performance, of course, because it only has one slot. But yeah, we're going to CPU, which is most interesting. And well, nothing surprising. The Atom CPU is a low power CPU, so it's around the same. But you can see that it's slightly over Pentium M. Probably due to the hyperthreading giving it an edge over the older Pentium M. Depends on the comparison. It's yeah, you can see that in most of the readings is a similar situation, although there's some in which it's not really that good. But well, I mean, this CPU was never meant for performance, so it's hardly surprising. I want to check something because I'm curious. I don't know if this machine actually has x64. No, it doesn't. It's just the later ones, the ones we have x64. So now, let's see what those CPUs have to say about this. Yeah, of course they have speed step, so you can have lower speed and less power consumption when not all power is needed. The Intel graphics, because yeah, it's Intel GMA. I don't know what this has as reference CPUs. Yeah, not much point on doing. Yeah, not sure what are the reference for these machines. I'm not sure if this is really a relevant score. So I'm going to perform a last test. Yeah, the screen is a bit too small for this. Okay, so it's ready. It's not bad, except the 3D, of course. The 3D is horrible, but everything else, I'd say it's pretty solid. So, well, you have seen the testing. These kind of machines, they are still surprisingly popular among certain kind of users. I personally never liked them and still don't like them. But if you have one with a working battery, they can be quite interesting machines to use still, because you can still always use some lighter operating systems than Windows, and use them pretty much for what they were intended to do, which is browsing the net and or like Office Works. For what concerns to retro stuff, pretty much you can think of this machine as equivalent to pretty much anything you could do with a Pentium M laptop with integrated graphics. You could probably do it with this machine as well, because as you have seen on the testing, they're pretty much equivalent machines. This one is just smaller and lighter and easier to carry. That's not a great thing nowadays, because probably any machine you can find of these probably will have a dead battery, which will mean that the portability is pretty much a worthless feature. I don't really have any recommendation to make about this kind of machines. If you are specifically looking for one of those, well, go ahead. I admit that I'm biased against this kind of laptops. I think they are interesting collector pieces because they are representative of a short-lived fashion of the, let's say, the budget ultra portable machines, because ultra portable machines still exist, but more in the performance sector, because this kind of ultra portable budget machine has been pretty much superseded by smartphones and tablets. They're not something which have a market anymore. If you were looking for a netbook, I personally say go for the Asus ones, mostly because I dislike bright reflecting screens like the one this has, but that's a personal preference. But if you are looking for a mid-2000s retro laptop, this one literally does nothing that any full-size laptop can do better, just because its only advantage, which is the portability, is pretty much nullified by the fact that you are not going to find one with a working battery, and it's unlikely that you'll find replacement for these batteries anymore. So yeah, it's pretty much all I can say about this machine. So I hope that you have liked this review and found it useful, and I hope to see you in the next one.